go ahead and get started today by sharing a video. And again, I don't know if you guys get this or not, but I think it's important to know that what I'm going to share with you right now is pretty dang amazing. Okay. One sec while I share my screen. Now, when I first listened to this morning, you know, it just sounded a little funny, but I've listened to it again, and it's actually quite amazing. So let's go and listen to it, and then we can talk about it. Can you guys hear?
Today, I want you to make love all day and with most everyone you encounter. Friends, relatives, your coworkers, even people that you pass by on the street. Everywhere, with everyone, make love all day. Let me show you what I mean. Just beautiful, right? You see, you don't have to be Bill and Melinda Gates or Oprah to make a difference. It doesn't require a grand act to positively impact somebody's life. And it doesn't require romance or affection to make love happen. So I challenge you today and all weekend long, how many people can you make love with? Set a goal right now, 5, 10, 20, 50, and then track it. Simple gestures of love. Things like leave a letter of encouragement on a coworker's desk or car. Bring in fruit or fresh smoothies for the office. Pick up a piece of trash in the parking lot. Return somebody's cart for them at the grocery store. Let someone go before you in line. Compliment a stranger in the elevator. Buy a coffee for the person behind you in line. Thank a teacher, a boss, a mentor with a sweet gift. Write a letter or send a care package to a soldier. Shovel a neighbor's walkway if you live where it snows. Walk a neighbor's dog or babysit their kids. Bring in someone's trash cans. Leave an extra generous tip. Buy a Starbucks gift card on your phone and text it to your friends to use today. Spread your love seeds everywhere today. And don't forget to make love with yourself. Do something loving for you. Go for a walk at lunchtime. Go for an extra long workout. Go get lost in a library or bookstore for a couple of hours. Go to a movie by yourself or a long walk on the beach or in the park or in the woods. Go get a mani-pedi, facial massage, or barber's hot shave. And as you make love today and all weekend long, as some of the observers were to the man in the video, don't be discouraged if others think you're being foolish. Make love anyway. Just know that the love you put out comes back to you tenfold. That's the magical power of love. So share with us, Darren Daily community, what are all the ways you'll be making love today and this weekend? Declare your intentions and share your ideas in the comments below. Inspire the love in all of us. And as always,
All right. Shoot, there's still people. I hate this waiting room thing. Okay. All right, guys. So
Sorry, do you want me to log in under yours so I can let people in?
I'm fine. I just didn't see it. That's for a second. So what is one thing that you guys picked up on watching that? Anybody? Don't be bashful.
I'm not gonna be bashful. Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
The smallest things that nobody sees is what matters.
Yeah, good observation. What were you going to add to that, Christina?
It was basically the same thing, that it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can just be something small, but the fact that you're doing it. Saturday, we went to a baseball game at the high school where they do a hero game and they have all of the special needs kids in high school and they coach them for 3 months. And we went because a friend of ours was like, posted on Facebook, like, hey, Elle's playing in this game. And, you know, it took a half hour of my time, but her mom sent me a text and was like, it meant so much to her that you guys were there and she hasn't stopped talking about it. So it's like acting on those things when you see them, sending the little Starbucks gift card. Like it doesn't have to be huge, but the fact that you're doing it is like rewarding to yourself and the person that you're sending it to.
Yeah, you know, I made a video about this as well on TikTok today. I'm like, imagine just for a moment if we spent the day doing what Darren had suggested. You know, if we just spent the day loving on people, especially the ones that are prickly or the ones that we don't want to like or love. Imagine if we spend that time and just made it a better day for the world, what type of an impact that'd have compared to just celebrating Valentine's Day as you know, a day of love or whatever. So I just thought it'd be really fun to be able to share that with you guys because I found that impactful. Okay, now let's get into some tactics. I want to share with you guys 8 ways that we can be better communicators, or excuse me, 8 ways that we can be better converters when it comes to our transactions that we do. The very first thing I want to mention is effective communication. Why do you guys think that's on the top of the list? Why do you think effective communication is one of the important ways that we can build and have better conversion?
If we're not on the same page, then there's no way we can move forward with any kind of decision making.
That's right. Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I think is interesting is that if we are not listening to what people want or what they need, then how can we deliver that? Right? I mean, I don't know if you guys have been in a situation like this before, but I have, where, you know, I'm trying to buy something from somebody and they just keep on rattling off different things that I don't care about. Right? And so truly understanding what their needs are better helps us help them accomplish that objective. You know, it's it's really cool to know that listening is so much more important than speaking in communication. Would you guys all agree? If we spend more time listening to somebody, asking open-ended questions, we're going to get a lot more effective in our way to be able to communicate with them. Number 2 is selling strategies. Holy crud. Yeah, we're going to have to change this thing about waiting room thing. Okay. One of the selling strategies that I think is helpful is knowing your audience intimately. What does that mean to be able to know our clients intimately? What does it mean to you to know your client intimately?
You know what they like, you know their kids, their family, like on a more personal level than just it's a lead or first and last name.
Yeah. How do we make that shift, Peter? How do we go from them being just a lead on paper to actually being someone that is a human being that we can interact and transact with?
And treat them exactly how you would treat your human being friends. I mean, just get to know them, ask them questions, ask them deeper questions to get to know them and find out what they're like, what they need, what they're, looking to accomplish. It's like how you said, I'm sure you're talking about like a dealership and they're like, this has 560 horsepower. And you're like, I don't care. Can it tow my boat? And that's it.
Right. Absolutely. Selling strategies are the ways in which we can be effective at communicating with our customers and better understanding them. Next one is product knowledge. When you think of product knowledge in our space, what does that mean to you? What does that look like? You guys, I'm going to invite you to all share your screens or I'll share your amazing faces so we can see you guys. What does it mean to be able to have product knowledge in our market, in our business?
Knowing days on the market, knowing inventory, all those good things.
Yeah, knowing all the stats, knowing all the inventory. Now, if I were to ask every single one of you, how many homes are currently active on the market in the areas that you service? How many are pending? How many closed last month? How many non-owner occupieds are there in the city that you service? How many people are most likely to make a move? How long do people usually stay in your marketplace? Do you guys know all the schools and the maps that are associated with them? Do you know where all the parks are? Do you know where all the restaurants are? Do you know how long it takes to get from your location or your city to the metropolitan area? Do you know where people are moving into from, right? If they're moving into your city, where are they moving from? Do you know that fact? And do you know the people that move out of your city, where are they moving out to? Is this stuff attainable? Can we get that information? We can, right? A lot of it's on the MLS. A lot of it is just freaking asking Google and having him tell you. Asking the simple questions allows us to be able to get a better idea of knowing the product that we're selling, because in fact, we don't even sell a product, right? We sell a service. The service that we sell is our capacity to be able to help them get into either a property or sell a property, right? And so our goal is to be able to know more about the process, know more about the home than the customer does. Because if they know more than you do, then why are you needed? And in fact, are you needed? You're not, right? You're not needed at all. And the reason that most people nowadays feel like agents are not worth their weight in gold is because they know more than they do. And you can smell it on somebody. But the cool thing is the good news for everybody is that you can educate yourself. You can level up your knowledge of the product that you're selling, that's including you, and what you're selling, so that people feel like you are the main person or the go-to person to be able to get that information. Previewing property is another component of that. If you guys are not actively previewing properties, then you're missing the mark. Why do you think previewing properties in the inside of the house, instead from just looking at the pictures online, why do you think that is useful in your capacity to be able to convert? Shauna, what do you think? Agate.
Because you don't want to walk in blind, not even knowing where a closet is, or, you know, if the drawers are soft close, or which direction the master bedroom is. You just look silly.
Yeah. Who's ever been in a situation where you've had an Indian client or someone that feng shui is very important to them, and you show up to a property to show them the house, and they stop, they don't even get out of the car, they roll the window down saying, bro, this home is facing the wrong way, or this home is in a T intersection. Or you walk inside the property and you're like, I can go straight to the backyard, I can see right into the backyard, this is a no-go for me. And you waste everybody's time, and you ruin your credibility with that customer. Versus knowing that in advance so that you're not wasting their time or your time showing a property that is absolutely not going to work for them. Right? So really understanding the product allows us to be able to say, oh, I've actually been inside that home. Right? When you get a Zillow, Flex lead, or wherever the lead source comes from, and says, hey, I'm curious about 123 Banana Street, and you've already been in Banana Street, how much more of an effective salesperson are you compared to where you've never even seen the property before? Now, I know that's difficult to do with every single home that's on the market, but holy crap, if you go to a car dealership, you expect that salesperson knows every single model of the cars that they have in their lot and what the benefits and features are of those things. But guess what happens? Most time you walk into a car dealership, you as a consumer that are looking to buy X car, you know more about the freaking car than the salesperson does. And when you know more about the car than the salesperson does, what happens to that salesperson? Yeah, you're like, I don't even need you. Why you are basically in the way of me transacting with who the decision maker is. But if you are the one that knows more, if you know how to be able to articulate all that information that we find on Google and MLS, all these other places, and then be able to package it in a way that you can articulate to our customer what exactly is needed, then that's when you win. Let's go into buyer persona. That's the next one on my list here. What does it mean? What is a buyer persona? Who has an idea of what that is? Come on, you guys. What's a buyer persona?
Is it the type of personality that the buyer has? Like, how you would have to interact with them based on, whatever disc that they're in?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can pull up. I think I took a picture of it. Where'd that go? Sorry, give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Okay. When I was at Zillow, visiting the headquarters, probably like 7-8 years ago, I was super, super impressed that they had personas, or another word for persona is avatar. They had the avatars of the buyers or their customers acknowledged already on all of their walls. They had like Susie the buyer. I'm sure I'm messing these names up or whatever, but they had like Susie the buyer, or Susie the first-time home buyer, Janet the investor, Mark the seller, so they had like 4 or 5 personas. They even actually had a persona for realtors, because that's also at the time they were customers. And so knowing truly who your avatar is of the buyer that you have, and it's not to say that you're creating this perfect avatar of who you want as a customer, which is its own separate topic. I'm talking about truly knowing who your customer base is. Now I'm going to show you this right here. It's not, this is obviously specific to real estate per se, but I think it's important to know, like, knowing the background, knowing the demographics, knowing the goals, the hobbies, the challenges, the objectives that they have, the biggest fears that they have. When you guys know this about your customer, how effective can you become at converting them? What do you guys think? When you meet with the customer for the very first time, do you have personas or avatars set up? You're like, oh, this is, Jane, an investor. And in your mind, you should already know what are the objections or the challenges and the fears and the goals that prospective investors going to have, or a buyer or a seller. And to be even more specific, if you think about based on where they're located, how incredibly different that is, right? Based on the demographics or the geographic location that can have a massive impact. Where do these people spend their time? Where does your customer spend their money? What type of things do they buy? Is brand important to them? Do they have, are they part of country clubs? Do they like to golf? What type of sports do they spend time either watching or playing? Are they avid pickleball players that are amazing people? Or do they have, different hobbies that are important to them? Think about it just for a minute. Like how much time have you spent looking at and analyzing the persona of the buyer or the seller that you meet with? I would venture to say that in some areas, you have a higher population of people that are homeowners that are younger demographics, right? You have some places where you have a whole bunch of doctors and lawyers. That's kind of makes up the makeup of that specific area. You have some places that are all business people. You have, some of them are, you have more of that blue collar, cops and firefighters and that type of group there. And so knowing the personas of your customers will allow you to be able to effectively communicate with them, because you can say, hey, based on this type of persona, this is what their weaknesses are. This is what their strengths are. This is what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy. And so when you talk to them, you can speak to that. Does that make sense? I'm not going to get into politics, but even political views or, views about masks, views about COVID, views about who the president is. You don't want to rile that up, but knowing that about your customer allows you to be able to communicate effectively. If you live in LA, and it's a massive Democratic state where they love Biden, and you're there and you have your pro, Trump fan sticker on your social media page. How are you going to resonate with that avatar? What do you guys think? Yeah, not going to, right? They're going to be like, this is not my person. Not saying you have to change, but you got to know who your audience is. And by knowing the audience, knowing the customer, then you can then decide what and how you share with them. Does that make sense? Next, let's go to the competitors analysis. That's the next one. When you think of competitors analysis, what does that mean to you? Hey, Christian, where are you from?
I'm on Robert's team.
Oh, okay. So when you think of competitive analysis, Christian, what do you think of?
Either what competitors know and think about us, or how we speak to our clients about other competitors.
How would you gather data to be able to know about your competitors?
Just doing research on MLS, how they sell, what they sell. Do they sell over asking or under? How do they price?
Yeah. Why do you think it's important to know the list to sold price ratio of your competitors?
You could be able to talk to, how they're being pitched, and are we having a genuine conversation about how this is going to work, or are they just telling you whatever price you want to hear just to get the listing?
That's right. And we can provide data to be able to, show proof of what we're trying to say. Meaning to say is if you're going on a listing presentation and you are competing against, agent A, and that agent A always sells for 90% of list price. And so you say, listen, you're meeting with so-and-so, most of the time, 90% of his transactions most of his transactions for 90% of list price. And so he's going to naturally tell you a higher number because he knows at the end of the day, either he doesn't know how to negotiate or he prices homes incorrectly and therefore is going to go down, right? So if you know that about your competitor, then you're able to speak to that. Does that make sense? If you don't know, you don't know. I know that you guys are trying to break into the high-end market, right? Who are the big dogs, right? Who are the agents? How do they perform? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Analyzing that data is going to help you know better how to gain market share in the areas that you want to work in. Does that make sense? I had a friend of mine, and I was telling him like, oh man, I wish I could like do this more high-end area, this particular area. And she goes, well, who are the main players? I was like, I actually don't know all the main players. I know a couple of them, but I don't know much about them. She goes, well, how many homes have they sold last year in that area? I'm like, I also don't know. Well, you know, what is their list to sold price ratio? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, you're a freaking idiot. And of course, you're not going to get any market share if you don't know that data, right? So spending the time to be able to know that information allows every single one of us to be more effective and be able to convert at a higher level. Okay, I've got a couple minutes. I've got two more things here. Closing the deal. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is negotiating as a skill for us as salespeople? Zoe, what do you think? How important is it on a scale of 1 to 10?
To be able to negotiate, I think it's pretty high up there. I would say at least an 8.
Okay. Anyone else have a different opinion?
A 10 out of 10 because all of real estate is negotiating.
Yeah. So if that is that important, how much time and energy do we spend improving our negotiating skills?
Like 40% of our time.
Excuse me?
Like 30 to 40% of our time, if that.
No, yeah, well, 34% of your 30 or 40% of your time is spent negotiating, but how are we spending time sharpening our tools to be a better effective communicator or effective negotiator? I've told you guys this story, and it happens literally all the time. Maybe not so much in this crazy competitive market, but on a normal market, you as a buyer, or in the situations when I was representing buyers, I would call the listing agent saying, hey, I've got a buyer that wants to buy your house. What is the lowest your client is willing to accept on this home? Now, if you're the listing agent and a buyer's agent asks you that question, what should be the proper response to them?
Send your highest and best.
Yeah. What else would we say? We'd say send your highest and best right now. But if it was a neutral market and you're like, you know, homes stayed on the market for 5 or 6 months, most of you guys don't know what that time looks like, right? Because if a home sits on the market for a week, you're like, ah, what's wrong? The home hasn't sold yet. But that's not normal. A normal market is, you know, where a home sits on the market for 3 to 4 months. So what do we do? What do you guys think? How do we better our negotiating skills?
Bump up the highest offer that you have a little bit and give them a number.
No. I'm not talking about a specific transaction, Peter.
No.
I'm referring to our skill set, right? What are the ways that we as salespeople, because that's what our job title is, most of us that are in this room right now, what is or how do we effectively increase our capacity to negotiate at a higher level? What are some things that we can do?
Role play every day.
Wow, that's a novel idea. How does role playing allow us to be able to be better negotiators?
You get feedback on asking a question like that.
Yeah. What else can we do to be able to increase our negotiating skills?
Know your market.
Write more offers.
Yeah, get more busy, right? Get busier, do more. But role playing and looking up ways to be better, effective communicators, better, effective negotiators, and studying, right? Go to YouTube, the YouTube University, and study how other people negotiate and use those same tactics. Using NLP, if you guys know that, right? We did that for a while back. So implementing those key phrases and sentences that allows you to be able to have a better way of manipulating or getting what your clients or what you want your clients to do. last thing is Salesforce Cast. And a part of that is just knowing what you want. If you don't know what you want, then it doesn't matter what you do, because you're not going to get where you want to go. So knowing what you want will allow you to be able to know exactly what you need to do, right? You can keep yourself on track based on your desire to achieve a specific goal or objective. I think it's important that all of us be mindful of these things we just finished talking about today, and think of ways personally how we can improve ourselves. How do we become more effective communicators? How do we listen more? How do we create those avatars of our customers or the personas? And how do we find out what our competition is doing? And how are we different than them? What's our unique selling proposition that's different than theirs? How do we know more product knowledge? There's a lot to do, and I understand that. And maybe trying to tackle it all could be overwhelming, but spend your time on one of those things that we discussed today, and just go deep. Instead of going superficial, just go deeper on it. So, okay, this week I'm going to focus my energy on knowing the market, right? Knowing the inventory, knowing what's available, what's not available, what's pending, how many homes, in today's market come back to market after they go pending. What percentage is that? Do you guys remember what we were told? What the stats were? What percentage of listings that go under contract come back to the market?
Wasn't it 7%?
Used to be 7%. Now it's what? 14.
14, yeah.
Okay, so it's more than doubled. Buyers have fatigue, don't they? Rates go up and they're like, oh shoot, what I could have afforded 3 months ago is not the same as what I could afford today. But they haven't updated their search criteria to factor that into the equation. So there's lots of different ways in which that happens. And our purpose is to be able to know all that information, right? Be able to know, hey, now that rates are here, when I'm talking to a buyer, I'm going to have that very candid conversation with them, because people don't buy properties by the price of the home. They buy properties based on what their payment's going to be, for the most part, right? Unless it's a cash buyer. Okay, guys, went over a little bit over time. I hope that you guys found this information useful. And secondly, go and make some love today. Show love to everyone around you. Be a little bit more courteous and nice. Give a gift to somebody, even if that gift is just a verbal, compliment. Thank you. Go out there and just be a little bit nicer today. And I promise you, if you do that, this world will be a way better place than if we just focus on, numero uno. All right, guys, have an awesome day. We'll talk to you guys next week, and we'll see what type of continued training that we can do to make this the most powerful group that we can possibly make. All right. Reach out to me if you guys need anything. Talk to you later. Bye.